Well, Faith no longer trusts Victor, and Kane thinks he can just barge into anyone's home. Stay tuned for this week's Restless Wrap.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
What a week. And hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Goodman. Let me just tell you my Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Rachel Goodman. Now that that's over with, let's dive into this crazy week. I just want to say, too, that in the chat, we were kind of talking before this show started, and everyone seems to agree that all the storylines are kind of dragging, and they're really, like, every single storyline, they really just kind of, they're really just digging into everything, and not a lot of things, in my opinion, are actually happening, and it's starting to get a bit frustrating. But we'll get into that as we dive in and talk about what's going on this week in the world of the Young and the Restless. Okay, so let me just do some shout outs first in the chat. We have Aaron, Nikisha, Taylor, Hubby Joe, Jean, and I think I said everyone, yeah. But thank you guys for being part of the chat. I could not do this show without you, so as we go along, I will be reading your comments, so if you have anything you'd like to add or say, feel free, predictions, anything, and I will definitely read it on the air. The other thing is, we're going to do call-ins today, so if anyone wants to call in and talk and discuss what's happened this week, I'm going to give you the number, and I'll say it kind of slowly so you guys can write it down. So it's 424-253-0749. Let me say that one more time just in case. 424-253-0749. So if anyone wants to call in, go ahead and do that, and we'll talk on the air about this crazy week. Okay, so let's dive in. I just want to mention first everything going on with Victor. I was super happy when they finally told Faith the truth that Victor kicked Nick out. That was something that was really frustrating me, that she didn't know, and that this little girl was really upset about her new living situation, which made complete sense, but that she was blaming the wrong person. Even so, it was still kind of heartbreaking watching her get emotional in front of Victor, and his reaction was heartbreaking, even though I don't like Victor. I know, I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not Team Victor, but it was still hard to watch. He does have some touching moments with his kids and grandkids, and I know how much Hope means to him, at least right now anyway, because she's not old enough to, do something that might make him turn against her. But right now, he's been nothing but sweet to her, even though he kind of was manipulating the situation. But yeah, I still felt slightly bad for him, but I also am super happy that Faith knows that it wasn't her dad that just chose to uproot her life and move away from the ranch. So Aaron says, I love phone calls. Yeah, me too. So go ahead, anyone, call in if you want. Hubby Joe says, it's about time the truth comes out about Victor. His whole family needs to put him in his place. Yeah, and I was really happy that Nikki was the one to tell Nick everything going on. It was kind of funny, too, when she found out. I love how she did some digging, called the camp told her, and then she goes to Sharon and she's like, everything Victor does is about to end. And I was like, yes, thank you, Nikki, thank you. I love what's going on with her and Victor right now. I will be very upset if they get back together. And I guess from there we could kind of get into everything happening with Jabot, Brash, and Sassy. And before I get into those storylines, let me just say that since we're talking about Nikki, it was hilarious, the dynamic between Nikki and Dina. And okay, I would say that between Nikki and Dina, I'm definitely pro Nikki. Or Team Nikki, I guess I should say. So watching them banter was really funny, but I especially loved basically everything Nikki was saying back to Dina. It was like basically Nikki was one step ahead of her. It was like, nope, you are not going to touch Nikki. Sorry. It doesn't matter what you say. Nikki knows what you're going to say, and she's going to have something to say back to you to put you in your place. And let's see. So we have some comments. Oh, we have a caller. Hi, this is Rachel with AfterBuzz. Thanks for calling in. What's your name?
Brittany.
Hi, Brittany. And where are you from?
Bakersfield, California.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah, I'm not too far from there. So we were just about to get into talking about Jabot and Brash and Sassy and everything going on with that. So, yeah, I guess let's kind of dive in. What do you think about everything happening with Dina and Ravi and Graham? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that Grant will like is suspicious how he left and stuff, and that will come into play too. And I think that was good that they kind of caught it, that he was getting the information and emailing it himself to her and doing the work for her.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And just to me, what's so shady about him is that him just going off to Paris like that randomly, almost like he did it on purpose to piss Dina off. And the fact that the whole thing where they can't figure out, it was literally like he was kind of stalking Dina, and that's how he got the job, and that he was turned down so many times. So why do you think, what are your predictions for why Dina might be keeping Graham around?
I think it has to do with her not wanting him to for her to want him to be around, because she's barely trying to get her kids get back into her kids' lives and stuff. And I think she wants them to be to see him as good and not the way they think he's bad or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think there's a possibility that Graham is good and that they're just, the way they're writing it is making him look a little shady, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Because he could be just helping her if she really does have Alzheimer's.
Yeah, exactly. And that what Ashley found at the end, it almost sounded like it was someone, maybe Dina or someone else is paying Graham some kind of monthly fee to take care of Dina, assisted living kind of. So it could just be that, and maybe the reason why Graham met her in that way was because someone noticed she had Alzheimer's, and so that's kind of how he was planted. Who knows? Yeah, but it is just crazy. I think my frustration is they've been pushing everything with Dina for
It's supposed to TV, Jaden.
It's been pushed for months. So I wish they would just tell us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you think about everything with that Jack and Ashley are going through? Do you think that do you think that they're handling this the right way?
Yeah, I think that it has to do with how they for the company and stuff.
Yeah, and it's just a shame because now that she's working there, it's Ashley had every right, I think, to tell Dina, hey, you better watch out with sharing information like that. And so did Jack. And I don't blame him for giving Dina that ultimatum, because they're having so many problems with Brash and Sassy that it's just funny
already that it's already competition. They just don't need it. What if you just really try, to get the a part of the company, or actually try to take over, or just something. You just never know.
Exactly. And even if it's not him, what if he sends it to someone else and then someone else gets information?
Yeah.
So,
exactly. You don't know if he could be working with somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not even, I feel like Dina's taking it too personally. It's just because of Graham. But I feel like it wouldn't matter who she was sending it to.
It doesn't have to do with just that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Well, thank you so much for calling in. It was great to hear from you, and thanks for tuning in.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem.
Bye. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Awesome. So, if anyone else wants to call in too, the number is still 424-253-0749. In the meantime, we'll get back into talking about Brash and Sassy and Jabot. Since we kind of touched on Dina already, let's get into everything happening with Phyllis and Billy and Victoria and basically everything that like it's been some interesting conversations, especially because now we see Laura, I think her name is Laura Fenmore, and Phyllis, and basically they're trying to get to the bottom of everything that's happening. Phyllis definitely thinks that the sales numbers are off and that someone messed with them. We have a couple of Graham comments before we keep going on. Jean says, I was thinking that Graham could be Brent Davis's son. Huh, that's interesting. Hubby Joe also said that he might be someone else's son in the family, or even possibly Dina's son, which would be interesting. A lot of people are saying Graham's a con artist. Maxwell Comics says, Graham, if it was assisted living, why wouldn't she say that? It's very possible, unless Dina is embarrassed about it and doesn't want her kids to know for some reason. Or maybe there's some kind of arrangement. I don't know, but it's possible. It might not be assisted living. It's just that when Ashley found that paper, it sounded like she said something about it, about assisted living. So we'll see. Oh, we have another caller. Hi, thanks for calling AfterBuzz Restless Rap. This is Rachel. Who do we have on the line?
Hey, Rachel. This is Janelle calling from Brooklyn, New York.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good.
So we were talking about Graham, but now we're about to get into a little bit with Phyllis and everything going on with Brash and Sassy and Jabot and the competition and the sales. So what do you think about everything that's been going on with that this week?
Well, you know what? I hope that Jabot comes out ahead, because I really want to see the triangle between Phyllis, Billy, and Victoria come to a head, because they're sort of simmering, which I have to admit, I think that the writing and acting has been, just on everybody's behalf, been really, really out of this world, so that way.
Yeah.
I've been quite moved by some of the performances that they've had. Now, I'm a cynic, I'm a skeptic, and I'm not really sitting home like I used to all these years ago, watching these soap operas religiously. But I've really been taken back by some of the things that they've been doing on Young The Restless with Nick and his father. It's been, and for me, my heart breaks every time I see Lily and Kane.
Yeah.
It just does, because for them from last year to now is a total, dismantling of everything. But I think that I really hope that everything goes to a head with the companies, and that maybe Jack may have a little. Maybe he's setting them up. Maybe he knew that Billy was going to find out information, and we as an audience are going to be shocked by something he does. I feel hopeful that would be something that will be classic Jack. I hope that might happen, and it'll leave Victoria vulnerable, and then Billy has to comfort her, and then we don't know what's going to happen from there.
Yeah, and well, I think if that is how they go, I can definitely predict that that'll be the end of Jack and Nikki.
Well, you know what? Wait, I was gonna say, are they even going out? Because it's like that's like the quietest relationship in this version that they've ever had, that Nikki or even Jack have ever had. Their relationship is so subdued. It's not even like a real one. It's like it's like a non-relationship that they rarely show them. They're not that passionate, and I'm like, they just sort of feel like they're killing time with each other a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. Like, they really don't show them that much. We didn't, the last couple of weeks, we haven't seen that much. I feel like from now, if we go back to, around 4th of July when this started to, turn into something. We've seen very few scenes with them. I think the most we've seen is, I think this was hilarious, when Victoria goes into the elevator and Jack and Nikki are making out. I was like, wow, awkward.
Yeah, you know what? I hope that maybe, what I would say for their relationship, if Patty came back, that might amp it up a little bit. If she came back and she broke out wherever she was from, and she was sort of around the periphery, just sort of stalking Jack and Nikki, that might make it a little more exciting. But right now, I don't really see it. I think that they need to do something for Jack, besides him pining away for Phyllis, obviously, because they need to really move out of that, because his whole life is based on getting revenge. I mean, I don't like Billy. I know you said you don't like you said you don't like Victor. I agree with you there. I don't like Billy, at least the way that he's being portrayed now. I love the actor, but I just think he just made my skin crawl a little bit. So I just don't like him, and so I hope that. Jack moves on from this obsession he's had with Phyllis, that all the business, all the things is geared towards somehow or another getting revenge or getting her back or something. It's just like, enough already. Please, the woman left you for your brother. Move on with your life, and don't keep trying to, do things to, get back at them in some way. Just move on, because that's the best revenge, when you just will leave the people alone.
I agree, and the way that Jack's acting right now, it sounds like most of this is geared toward Billy and how he feels about Billy, and it's just very childish that he can't just
And then Victoria and that thing, I like her. She's still not doing what she Heather Tom did. Like, for me, Heather Tom was like, I'm not sure, you probably won't get this, because I'm not sure if you like a nighttime, watch your soaps, but Heather Locklear, Amanda Woodwork. If you ever saw Meryl's Place, you know she was a rawhide. She just took no prisoners, and that's how Heather Tom played Victoria before. But now we see the glimpse of that with the head trauma, and then don't know what's going on, and it's sort of, I'm excited about what she's doing. I don't like it because it's destroying. I love Lily and Kane, and it's destroying them, and I hope that Kane comes out clean and it's not his baby. I'm really holding on to that, but I'm excited about what Victoria, the lady who played Victoria, and what she's doing with the character. But I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, but there's so much to say.
Yeah, there's definitely so much that happens each and every week that it's like, oh man, what to say next. But no, I completely agree with what you're saying, and I've only watched probably since last June, so I'm a newbie, as they would say, and but so from what I've seen of Victoria, I mean the acting, like you've said, is great. Victoria, around 4th of July, when she was, I think this is when she was talking to Abby about her feelings. Yeah. That performance she gave, wow, that was, very chilling, very emotional. I could feel what she was going through. So the way that you're saying how she used to be even different, it just goes to show how wonderful that actress is, that she can play the character in so many different ways. But I'll be curious to see what they do, because that ringing has not gone away.
We going into fall, we going into the holidays, and she's still ringing. I'm like, wait a minute. You come on. You're a mom, and you're head of a company. You would think that she would sit down somewhere and see a doctor. That's the part that's annoying me a little bit too. She's so ultra responsible or whatever. She don't want to break no rules. Everybody who breaks a rule have to pay. That's what she's making them pay. Well, I'm thinking, if you're so by the book, then you hear this ringing, you've been injured, when you had a little issue with your sister, that you would go into a doctor as a responsible, business leader, whatever you want to call it, and go get that checked out. That's a little, loophole, and what I'm feeling is good writing. But they let that go on a little too long, I think they've gone too long. But I do like that she's single. She had a little dalliance with the man who they didn't work out. I think that one thing they don't do on any soap, whether it be Young The Restless or anywhere else, is that they never leave one of the lead ladies single for any, more than a couple of months. They have to be hooked up with somebody, and they have to be coupled. And I like that she's basically single. Her marriage, I guess her relationship is a business. That's why, like you were saying, she has such an emotional scene with her sister when she was saying that everything's falling apart, and it was almost like a relationship to her, that company. So I liked Victoria single. I'm not sure if I want her with Billy. I like them as friends more than anything. I like Billy with Phyllis more because I can't stand either one of them. So I'd rather them together than see it with Victoria. But I do like Victoria single. I like her mean. I wish she was a mean to Kane and Lily, but I like what they're doing to her. I just hope that they get that ring and checked out, because we can't go to Christmas and her still have these issues. Come on.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just the problem is, yeah, like she, when it first happened, eventually she went to the doctor, but you would think she would keep going back and say, hey, the ringing never stopped. Because I don't know, they could, even if I was going through that, I would want a second opinion. If the doctor said, oh yeah, you're looking good, and I kept hearing the ringing, I would say, no, I'm going to another doctor because there's something wrong. Yeah, so I
think that, now, I agree with you. I think in closing, before I let somebody else hopefully, call in again, I love this. I got a chance to call in. Is that the scene for me this week, and it was surprising, the scene for me the whole week was the interaction between Nikki and Victor. I think it was at the end of the week where it seemed like classic Nikki. They're separated. They going toe-to-toe. She came in there and told him, I don't think you should go out and see your granddaughter in the barn. And that little interaction between the two of them and how sassy she was.
Yeah.
She wasn't like, she wasn't like having headaches and having problems. She was classic Nikki. She didn't care how big and bad he got, how bad he popped. She was telling him what she was telling him. And then she would tell her son what happened. So that was classic Nikki. In the past, again, I haven't watched that long either, but I like YouTube. I'm a YouTube junkie, and I could see some of the things that they used to do in the 90s and the 80s. And she used to do that all the time, like go up toe-to-toe against him no matter what. And I thought that was great. I love that scene. Even I think they said in the press one time that even if we're not married on the show, our relationship is still very important, even if it's adversarial. And it's true.
Yeah.
Their chemistry is fantastic, even when they're not together.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I think Nikki even said this, that even if they're not married or together, they still have children and grandchildren. So they're always going to be in each other's lives. But yeah, I love how she handles everything with him. If anyone can handle Victor, it's her.
Yeah. Because you see, I think people think that either you have to scheme or get like Phyllis or Jack, but the person, like you said, who can really handle him is Nikki, because she knows that his power is to be for you to trigger to do something, disastrous or over the top. But if you stay in the lane and don't get triggered and basically make your point and get out of there, that infuriates him more than anything else. You don't want to punch him. You don't want to try to ruin his life. You just want to stay there, tell your truth, and keep moving. That makes him insane. He doesn't like that. That's what she does the best.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Of
I love,
course.
I get so pent up watching all these shows, and I love when the hosts, like you all, have the opportunity to let the fans or the viewers call in and sort of give their little 2 cents, whatever. I think it's so fantastic. I love it. It's so great.
Yeah, and it's great having you guys call in, because then it's like, we're co-hosts and we get to talk about the show together. So thank you, and I'll definitely be doing this more often. So.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good night. I'm going to continue to watch the show.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great night.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so if anyone else wants to call in, we're getting down to some time here, but I can probably take one more caller. So the number again is 424-253-0749. So we touched on Brash and Sassy a lot and what was going on with there. Let me check in on the comments and see if we have anyone. Let's see. So Taylor says, I really want to know what's going on with Victoria. Yeah, and the ringing. Aaron, right, Taylor, what's going on with her hearing storyline? I agree. And okay, Charlene says, hi, Charlene. The doctor told her to reduce stress. Victoria hasn't done that yet. Yeah, that's true. Charlene, plus nobody likes going to the doctor. Yeah, see, that is completely true. And I feel like one reason why Victoria might not be doing it is because she is trying to handle it herself. At least that's the way I'm reading her character, is that she loves to be independent. So maybe she thinks it's just going to go away. But yeah, you guys are right. The doctor did tell her to reduce the stress, but I don't know, if I was still hearing ringing in my ear, I would be going to another doctor for a second opinion. Okay, so let's kind of talk about Maddie and Reed and Kane and Hillary for a little bit, because that was kind of that kind of annoyed me, especially with Kane. I'm not a huge Kane fan, as you guys probably already know. But basically, Maddie and Reed got caught kissing by Hillary a while ago. I think it was last week's, not the last week that we just watched, but the week before that. And so Maddie and Reed, I don't know, Maddie kind of wanted to trust Hillary, which in my mind was, I know she's young, so that kind of gives her a reason why she would be so quick to trust Hillary. But I don't know, I wasn't sure whether Hillary was going to keep that news private or somehow tell someone, Kane. So then here's where things go a little wrong. So Reed decides that, well, on the first day of school, Reed is still at home, and his parents went to work and he's alone. So he calls Maddie and he's like, hey, why don't you just come over? So of course, Maddie cuts school and decides to just go. Now, what I was thinking is, I don't know what it was like for you guys when you were in high school, but for me, if you cut first period or second period, or if you just didn't show up, they took attendance in class. I don't know how quickly they would call your parents, but they would call pretty quickly, and you knew as a student that this would happen if you didn't either have someone call out sick, and so people knew you shouldn't be expected into school. So someone like Maddie, I'm wondering how she didn't realize that she was going to get a call, or not her, but her parents were going to get a call. I would think she would have been a little more cautious about that. It's not like he was asking her to skip band practice. He was asking her to skip school, where someone from the school is probably going to call and tell your parents. So, of course, Kane's the one who ends up getting the call, and who's with him? None other than our favorite Hillary. I was surprised that right then and there she didn't say something to Kane, because that just seems so much like her. But then again, I feel like Hillary also, it has to benefit her in order for her to reveal information. So, but she kind of pushed the idea in Kane's mind, if you guys remember. At one point she goes, oh, do you think that's where Maddie is with Reed? Which, yeah, but at least she did Maddie the favor of kind of, well, telling her that, her dad basically knew that she wasn't at school, but still, I feel like Hillary likes to play things both ways, so I still don't know that, even in Maddie's case, I still don't think she should trust Hillary. But it looks like to Maddie now that Hillary is on her side. So she's won. The way that I see it is that Hillary has won Maddie's trust, even though she does not deserve it. So Brittany said, exactly, they always called my house number if I was not at school. Yeah, exactly. And of all people, like, I could see someone like Reed, who, it was his idea. So I could see someone like him skipping school and not caring so much. But you would think that Maddie would realize what the protocol was, and that she would know real quickly, oh, well, no, someone from school is going to call. That everyone knows that, and it's not like she's a freshman, or, I think she's a junior in high school? She should know this. Aaron, I never missed school, so I don't know. I was an overachiever. Yeah, I only know this because, even if you're sick and you have to call out, like, your parents would have to call out, or else the school would call you. And that was the other thing, though, is that the school called, I think, too fast. And I was a little confused with that timeline. And not to, like, nitpick this or anything, but it seemed like first period hadn't even finished yet. And that's when the school called. But then suddenly, when Victoria got back and she caught Kane running into the house, suddenly it was lunchtime. And it just seemed like it didn't fit, to me anyway. I don't know what you guys think about that. Charlene, I always came home first and erased the message. There you go. But see, Maddie should have been thinking about this instead of just deciding she was going to skip school without anything. Hubby Joe says, team overachievers. Or at least have another adult call, and then that way she would have been covered. But someone like Maddie would have figured this out. Hubby Joe says Hillary is trash and needs to be put in her place. Yeah. Ralph Lawrence says Kane been bad for Lily since day one. Yeah, and that was the thing too, is when they showed that flashback. Now, I wasn't watching Young and Restless when Lily was young. Well, not that she isn't young now. Let me say when she was younger with Kane, when he was younger. But, okay, so when they showed that gym scene and they showed Kane, so first of all, my husband made a funny comment. He said that younger Kane looked like Wolverine, except without the claws. But, but that guy looked, okay, so younger Kane looked like a guy who got into way more trouble than Reed. So Kane and Lily, I'm sorry, but they are such hypocrites. And they should be way more understanding. And Kane and Lily should understand that the more they try to keep Reed and Maddie away from each other, the more they're going to want to be together. And they should know this because they have had firsthand experience. Brittany said, I thought she would be like, no, I shouldn't do this, and how she is about school and being in AP classes, I would have thought she would have told Reed no. Yeah, me too. It just seemed completely out of character, and I don't even think, like, I don't even know that Reed would have thought to ask that because he knows how much she's into school. So I feel like Reed asking in the first place sounded off. At least asking her to skip school. Maybe if he asked her to skip band practice or like drama or like they were doing before where they were making things up, I could buy that, but not her skipping school. However, it definitely brought more drama into this and brought their relationship more into the heat in terms of Lily and Kane grounding Maddie. That actually made me really angry, though, how Kane was trying to handle this and like how he got so upset that Maddie was lying. You can't, he's the adult. He lied big time, and he has the nerve to get mad at his kid for lying. He should have been like Lily. Lily said, well, she's probably acting out because there's turmoil at home. Yeah, hello, Kane. I already didn't like him, but now I really don't like him. Ralph says, I've been watching Y&R since the late 90s. My family had me watch as a child. I'm 25 now. Yeah, so you probably were watching when everything was going on with Lily and Kane. It didn't look like it was that long ago. The way, I don't know, I picked up that it was maybe like 2006, 2007, something like that. Just a random guess, but I know they aged Lily and Kane's kids really fast. So, okay. So now that we touched on them, let's talk about the sex ring and everything going on with that. There isn't that much. That's another plot line I'm getting a little frustrated with. They really need to have something happen. They're really teasing us with that. And when Tessa went up to the door, I like how she did that, but I wanted there to be more. And I'm getting kind of frustrated with Crystal, and they shipped her, or not shipped her, they sent her on a flight somewhere, and we don't really know what's going on with that. And I feel like next week, I don't know that they will do this, but really next week, I want them to either figure out what's going on with Zach. Like, so Abby, I really want her to be the one to figure out what he's up to. And she's starting to see his other sides. She overheard that conversation. He blew her off. He kind of yelled at her when he blew her off when she finally confronted him. So Abby is the only one who's starting to see this other side of him. I want her to actually find something out. I want her to know. I want him, like, I do not like Zach at all. And I just want him to be found out now. Hubby Joe, Zach is a scumbag. This is another story that is dragging its feet. I agree. Aaron, Maddie went off on Kane this week. I loved it. I watched it back 20 times. Yeah, that was awesome. And I love how Victoria was able to throw Kane out, too. Brittany, yeah, I want Daniel to make an appearance on the show again. And Taylor, I love Maddie so much. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to mention is just real briefly, everything that's still kind of going on with Tessa and Mariah. It felt like I didn't like that Mariah got back with Devon because she clearly has feelings for Tessa, and when she lied, well, I'm going to say she lied and said, "There's no one else for me but you, Devon," or something like that. And she hugged him, but she looked like she didn't even believe herself. So there's that. And then with Tessa, she looked like she was going to tell Noah something else. I'm not sure if it's something that Mariah already knows that she just didn't tell Noah yet, or if it was something completely different that none of us knew. I'm not sure. So let's get into our lull moments of the week. Okay, so the first thing was when Ravi and Dina were talking, and Ravi basically said, "Will you be okay, Dina, being alone?" And Dina's response was, "A two, Ravi?" And I don't know if I necessarily laughed at that, but I found it kind of amusing that they kind of went and had a couple of exchanges like that. And then what really made me laugh, though, was when Jack and Ashley were having one of their conversations, and Ashley says, "Yeah, Dina had breakfast with Abby. Guess what they talked about?" And Jack, in his perfect Jack cadence, goes, "The perfect place to get an eyebrow threading?" Because of course that's what they were talking about. I laughed out loud at that. And then the last thing, which we already talked about when someone called in, was when Victoria got onto the elevator and Jack and Nikki were definitely making out. It was amazing and hilarious at the same time. But on that note, I'm really glad that Nikki and Jack are actually going back up to the cabin. And I meant to say this while I was during one of the phone conversations. But speaking of Jack and Nikki, remember, someone was taking pictures of them. So that stalker idea that someone's stalking Jack or watching Jack and Nikki, we never found out who that was. I think a lot of people originally thought Victor was doing it, but we don't know. And I feel like if they wouldn't have just introduced it without doing something with that storyline, because someone has their picture somewhere. Okay, so, Brittany says, yeah, I think they're talking about Zach still. Yeah, I didn't like Zach when he stood Abby up and yelled at her to come back and not leave the athletic club. Zach can be nice and mean. It shows two sides of him. Yeah, and that's the thing with the acting and the character work in general. If Zach was just a terrible person, and, well, okay, he is a terrible person considering what he's doing, but if he was just bad and didn't have any other sides, it would make him, I don't know, I almost wouldn't believe it, or I wouldn't feel strangely connected to the character. And I think that's what pisses me off so much, is that he has this really nice side, so you do feel kind of connected to him. And when he's with Abby, I do root for them to be together. I have to remind myself of what he's actually doing. So it makes it much more, it makes it very fascinating to watch. So I agree with you there. Okay, so let's get into our predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Okay. So when we left Ravi, he was making his alter personality security cyber checker guy was going off to check to see who maybe accessed that marketing report that's in question, to see how maybe Jabot knows to see how Brash and Sassy might know what was going on with them. So my prediction was that is either two things. Either he's going to see that it was on Phyllis's computer, or he'll see it was Dina, and they might just try to blame Graham. But I have a feeling, because they kind of pushed, like, when Victoria and Billy were talking, they kind of pushed it like, well, what if Phyllis finds out that you were on her computer? So I have a feeling that this is where Phyllis is going to find out through deduction that basically Billy logged in and got onto her computer. Even if it comes back and says that Dina was on it, I have a feeling they're going to know which computer and generally where the computer was accessed. So we'll see, but that's kind of what I think with that. And then, yeah, so that's my biggest prediction. Maybe also we'll find out what's going on with the pictures when Nikki and Jack go up to the cabin, and there will be more pictures. And Maddie and Reed, I think they're going to keep seeing each other. Even without her phone, I think Maddie is going to sneak off and try to see Reed. Or maybe she'll write him a letter, like an actual physical letter on paper. We'll see. Let's see if we have any other predictions in the chat. Oh, okay, so Aaron says, yeah, who's taking pictures of Nikki and Jack at the cabin? Ralph Lauren thinks it's Graham taking the pictures. That would be interesting. Charlene says Victor just got back from vacation. Maybe he got him. Oh, they're talking about Narco. Interesting. And then Aaron says, I predict Maddie is going to get pregnant and go away to get married to Reed. That would be interesting. And I would feel really bad for her because of, school and everything. And that would not be, she seems like she'll be so successful, but that might take all of her time. Oh, sorry. Aaron's meant Marco, and I definitely said the character wrong, so I am so sorry, everyone. Okay, so I think that's it for this week. So my name is Rachel Goodman. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Rachel Goodman, or on Facebook at Rachel Ann Goodman. On Tuesdays, I also am part of the Ray Donovan show that AfterBuzz does. If you guys watch Ray Donovan and are interested, that's on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I have Wake Me Up From September Ends by Green Day playing because my husband and I just went to the Green Day concert last night in Pasadena, and it was amazing. So in tribute to Green Day, here's the song. Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. And you guys definitely make the show, and this helps me so much when I have all of you wonderful co-hosts to help me talk about Young and the Restless. Until next week, have a great week, you guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.